We all know the Air Force, big planes, big bombs. They're the guys that keep the skies safe, right? But what happens when those planes can't even get off the ground?
That's the problem, like a big problem. The U.S. Air Force, they're facing a readiness crisis. It's kind of alarming, actually.
So we're going to do a deep dive today, and we're going to look at just how bad this situation is.
Yeah, and I think some folks might be surprised at what we find.
Okay, so let's start with some numbers. What exactly are we talking about when we say mission-capable rates?
Well, it's basically the percentage of aircraft that are ready to, actually do their job at any given moment, ready to fly, essentially.
And what's that number looking like these days?
Not great. In 2024, the overall mission-capable rate for the entire U.S. Air Force was just 67.15%.
67%. So only 2 out of every 3 planes are ready to go.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's actually the lowest it's been in 20 years, like way lower than 2023, which was 69.92%, and even further down from 2022, which was 71.24%.
Wow. If my car only works 67% of the time, I'd probably be pretty unhappy.
Yeah, probably. And this is the Air Force we're talking about, Not exactly something you want to be unreliable.
Exactly. So what's going on? Why are so many planes grounded? Is it just old equipment?
Well, that's part of it, but there's more to it. Even the newest, more advanced jets, like the F-22 and F-35, they're having a hard time staying in the air.
Seriously, I thought those were supposed to be the best of best.
They are, in terms of technology, but technology doesn't always mean easy to maintain, right?
Right. So what are we talking about here? How bad are the rates for these superjets?
Well, the F-22, it has a mission-capable rate of just 40.19%. That's really low.
You're kidding. Less than half of them are ready to fly.
Yep. And the F-35A, the one that's supposed to be, the workhorse of the Air Force, it's only at 51.5%, lower even than past years, which were already, kind of controversial at around 55%.
So what's the deal? Why are these high-tech fighters so difficult to keep flying? I mean, aren't they supposed to be cutting edge?
Well, that's kind of the problem, that they are cutting edge. They're packed with all these advanced systems, stealth coatings, sensor fusion, you name it. And all of that stuff, it requires a lot of specialized maintenance. And that means they need a lot of, tinkering and upkeep to keep them running.
So are we saying that these superjets are just too complicated to maintain properly?
It's definitely a factor. It's kind of like maintaining a supercomputer that can fly faster than the speed of sound.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And this actually brings up another point that we need to talk about. The F-35, it was supposed to replace the F-16, right?
Exactly. And the F-16, well, that thing was a workhorse. Reliable, relatively easy to maintain. It was the backbone of the Air Force for a long time.
But now we're trying to replace it with this super complex F-35, and it's causing all sorts of readiness issues.
Yeah, that's the thing. The transition, it hasn't been as smooth as they hoped.
So we've got these new jets that are hard to maintain, and we're phasing out the old reliable ones. What does that mean for the older planes still in service? Like, what about the F-15?
The F-15, a classic. It was originally designed for a shorter lifespans, But now, because of delays and limited production of the F-22 and F-35, they're having to keep these F-15s flying much longer than they intended, like way longer.
How much longer are we talking?
They're flying these F-15Cs. Those are the ones designed for air-to-air combat, 20 years past their planned retirement date.
Seriously, 20 years. Are they even safe to fly at that point?
Well, that's the thing. The mission-capable rate for the F-15C is only 52%, so a little over half of them are ready to go on any given day.
So we've got these aging aircraft being pushed to their limits, and it's putting a strain on readiness. What are the risks of flying these 40-year-old jets?
Well, there's the obvious risk of mechanical failure. Parts wear out, things break down, and that can really jeopardize a mission, not to mention the risk to the pilot.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. And I imagine it's not cheap to keep these old birds flying either.
You're right. The costs are adding up. Maintaining these legacy aircraft, it takes a lot of money and resources that could be used for, modernizing the fleet.
So what's the plan? How does the Air Force get out of this readiness mess?
Well, they're trying a few things. They're planning to retire the F-22 earlier than expected, which will free up some resources. And they're increasing orders for new F-15EX, the latest version of the F-15.
So new planes, that's the answer, just buy more.
Well, it's not that simple. You can't just throw money at the problem and expect it to go away. There are systemic issues within the maintenance infrastructure that need to be addressed.
Like what?
Like, for example, they need more skilled technicians, and they also need to rethink their procurement strategies, maybe prioritize maintainability from the very beginning when they're designing new aircraft.
So we've got this whole web of issues, from aging aircraft to complex new jets that are hard to maintain. It sounds like there's no easy fix.
Yeah, it's complicated, but it's something we really need to figure out. A weak Air Force has implications for the whole country.
Absolutely. A less prepared Air Force, well, it affects our ability to respond to crises around the world. And it also impacts our ability to deter aggression from other countries.
Exactly. And you know what? This whole situation might actually lead to some positive changes. Maybe it will force the Air Force to be more innovative.
In what way?
Well, maybe they'll start focusing more on sustainability in aircraft design, making planes that are easier and cheaper to maintain. Or maybe they'll embrace new technologies like AI and predictive analytics to make maintenance more efficient.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. So this whole deep dive, it's really highlighted a critical issue. The readiness of the Air Force, it's not just about numbers. It's about having a force that's actually ready to defend the country and protect their interests around the world.
Absolutely. And I think the big question now is, how will the Air Force adapt and innovate to ensure that it remains the most powerful Air Force in the world?
That's something for everyone to think about. This readiness issue, it's something we need to pay attention to because it has a direct impact on our national security. It makes you wonder, what kind of innovations and changes will we see in the future?